Students, today we'll discuss the fourth part of the Preludes or the fourth prelude written by T.S. Eliot. This prelude introduces a new male character in the third person, also with a soul, just like the woman has a sinful soul in the third stanza or the third prelude. So I'll just read the first part or first stanza of this fourth prelude. His soul stretched tight across the skies. His soul, the soul of the man. His soul stretched tight across the skies that fade behind a city block or trampled by insistent feet at 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock. And short, square fingers stuffing pipes and evening newspapers and eyes assured of certain certainties, the conscience of a blackened street, impatient to assume the world. So we see that a new male character is introduced in this fourth prelude with a soul, and his soul is either stretched or we can say it's trampled, and thus he is enduring discomfort. In this way, there is a connection to the images of the soul of the woman on the ceiling in stanza 3. But the scale of his soul and the horizontal image of it being stretched across the skies suggests a religious allusion to Christ's cruciform position. The street, the character personified as the world in stanzas 2nd and 3rd, is being trampled by the now familiar synecdoche of feet. This image of the street taking on the suffering of the world also becomes a metaphor for Christ's suffering. The skies, a symbol of heaven, fade behind a city block, covered as the shutters cover the sunlight in stanza 3 by the basic horizontal unit of the city, the block. This implies that the spiritual is fading and neglected in the modern city. Means that people are now devoid of spirituality, they are devoid of any feelings and emotions, and they have become totally materialistic and worldly. The world is too much with them. Their daily routine work is regulated in such a way that they have to there is no conscience left in them, and they are just running or following the rat race of this world. Then the poem has returned to the evening as in the first prelude. It continues the sibilant S sound pattern of the first two stanzas with the words soul stretched across skies, city, insistent, six, short, square, stuffing, etc. So the poem's continued use of sibilance. Sibilance means the S sound words or the hissing sounds that gives a snake-like quality. Okay, so the continued use of sibilance gives the speaker's voice the alienation of an aesthete who seems like he would have long, elegant fingers. So kind of mysteriousness is there. The adjective insistent suggests that the city dwellers are acting out of willful desire, likely to return home after work, and too busy to pause and notice that they are trampling the meaning of life beneath their feet. So they are not living, they are only existing. Mechanically, they are doing their work, they are following their daily routine, and what life actually is, they have totally forgotten. The motif of time returns with 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock. But before, the time was particular, now it has multiplied. Okay, in the first stanza it was 6 o'clock, then in morning time again the time is fixed, but here it's 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock. So time was not particular here, it has multiplied now. These are multiple, or we can say differently articulated preludes, all these four preludes that are nevertheless identical. The poem tries to get the reader to notice this identity with two end stops at the rhymes block and o'clock. Then the insistent feet, short square fingers, and eyes are all synecdoches, instrumental appendages acting in undifferentiated plural masses. The evening newspapers are a metonym for the cyclical, unchanging wastefulness of urban life and for its narcotic effect on people, like the tobacco in the pipes. So people are just following their routine. They eat, drink, and sleep. Instead of uh, eat, drink, and be merry or be happy, they just eat, drink, and sleep. We remember from earlier stanzas that the newspapers will become curling devices to contribute to the masquerade of a prostitute's hair and end up as garbage blowing in vacant lots, means the empty plots, around the feet of commuting pedestrians, the daily workers who commute. This is a depressing judgment of human intellect as wasted on daily, mindlessly comforting entertainment. Okay, so people are wasting their lives, they are wasting their intellect, and they are just running madly after things without any aim in their lives. They are simply existing, not living and enjoying their lives. Assured of certain certainties represents a paradox because the newspapers are telling us certain things, certain certainties, and not the real whole truth. The conscience of a blackened street returns to the motive of the personified street that was sawdust trampled in the second part of the prelude, or in the second prelude, imagined by the woman and then trampled by insistent feet earlier in the poem. So here it is blackened, implying dirt and degradation, but has a conscience. Again, this imagines the ethical spiritual presence of Christ within the streets of the city, being trod upon, but waiting impatiently to begin to have power or responsibility for the world. The poem stops here with a line break for the reader, for all of us to comprehend this image, and then the second part of the second stanza of this part begins. So for today we'll just stop here, and tomorrow the second part of this prelude we'll discuss. Till then, thank you.